2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Cedar Run Decoys. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world-famous Andy Shaver.
Father's Day's coming up, or it's already gone past. I don't know when this is going to get released due to my traveling, but great Father's Day presents. Hand-carved decoy. Probably too late, honestly. Should have done that back in March.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff to get, though. You can order some. We got a brand new Big Honker Podcast collection decoy coming out. We'll be releasing that pretty quick.
Cool.
Matter of fact, I'm fixing to go to Michigan and do a podcast with Corey next week.
Hand-carved, hand-painted.
Yep.
Create a legacy.
Great stuff. Go ahead, you introduce.
On with us today, Mr. Travis Schneider, Northern Prairie Outfitters. How is everything going with you, sir?
That's good, man. It's the off season. I think it's my most favorite time of the year anymore. It's right now.
It's definitely mine. 100% mine. I never thought I'd get there though. You know, you're in your 20s or whatever, you're running and gunning, you're like, man, it doesn't get any better than this. And then like just when you do it for so long, you really start cherishing like days you don't have to do it.
Well, all them old timers have been telling us forever about, hey, you just wait, you get a little older, time it starts to fly by and that whole deal. There's some truth to it. And I think, you know, like when we started hunting and you're growing up, the off season always seemed like it drug on forever. Like you were never going to get through it. Dove season, September 1st was never going to get there. And then, you know, duck season always felt like forever away. And now, dude, I get home in March and it's like I lay my head down one time and here it is August and I'm making the drive to Alberta all over again.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it goes fast, man. I can't believe it's June already. I felt like I just got home.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife today because we did Disney and then now we're going to Costa Rica and that's our final vacation for this year. But we come back the 18th and I told my wife, like, when we get back and kind of get our feet on the ground, because there's always a little bit of a hangover whenever you get back from vacation, like we're going to be looking directly at the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And like I always kind of considered the 4th of July to be like the end of the off season. Because with us, we have hunting shows in July and a little bit in August. So like 4th of July is pretty much it for me.
Yeah, man, it goes quick, dude. That's kind of, and honestly, that's kind of when my gears always started to shift a little bit, even before I got into the dog stuff and when I was fishing all the time, you know, dude, it'd be like 1,000,000 degrees down on the coast back home. All the fish were out deep. You had to stay in the boat to get them. And I was always kind of starting to think about hunting season and it was switching for me at that point, really starting to gear up, making all the orders, prepping, all that stuff. So
yeah, and I'm sure with like with your background in football, like I'm sure that was also like when everything started to shift too. You know what I mean? Like
dude,
practices are going to start.
Fall camp about to start, man.
When would y'all start? Would y'all start in July or would y'all start in August?
I believe, you gotta remember, man, my last year was in 2008, but I believe we had to report that Monday, the first Monday in August is when we had to report, and then we would start, man. And we'd go, you know, there'd be like the first 4 to 6 days of it would just be single practice. You know, you start in shirts and helmets, and then you move to half shells, and then by that next weekend, dude, that's when the two-a-days deal would start. I don't even know if them kids do two-a-days anymore.
Yeah.
Is that still a thing?
I don't think nobody does anymore.
Even at the high school level, like they changed a bunch of the stuff with how high school practices are structured. If you go full pads one day, like the next 2 days have to be just helmets or something. So even that has shifted on, even at the high school level.
Wow. Hey, and let me tell you something, dude. As a lineman in my previous life, when you were just helmets and shirts, dude, I hated it because you would get beat up, bruised up, and that sort of thing. I like half shell practices, dude. At least you could absorb some of the blow. You know, the defensive line guys, especially when you were just in shirts and helmets, man, they would look like superstars, dude. Doing that stuff.
And then you got the D lineman like slapping you and everything with no padding or no protection.
Yeah, they're
so,
teeing off on you,
up.
dude, because you ain't got nothing protecting you, man.
Yeah. Like my kid did his first year of tackle football was this year. You can't even teach them to tackle the same way that we were taught to. Like when I was in school, it was like head across, you know, you're going to lead with your head, all that other shit. Like now everything's arm tackling. So they're and
really?
you know, I mean, I understand like you want to protect these kids' heads, but it's leading to a lot more like shoulder injuries, and these kids just aren't strong enough at that level to arm tackle.
Yeah, they're saving them from all the concussions and potential CTE, and rescuing them from the career of being a goose guide like me, dude. Got hit in the head so many times. I got about a room temperature IQ, and here I sit.
What year? What year's your last year to play?
Oh wait,
Oh wait,
Is he entitled to some of that money?
no. So I just saw this recently.
No.
Did you see what it was? It's like 2016. It goes back to.
10 years.
But what
10
is
years.
that? Like, how are we gonna? What happened? Like, why did they decide? Okay, 2016, the NCAA is going to pay out $2.8 billion in back damages.
Isn't that wild, dude? I don't know, man. And even if they went all the way back to 2008, dude, think about all the guys that were before us, man, that would be complaining about it. I don't know. I guess that was just the hard line that they figured up in their head. But what did they come up with? It came out on Friday, didn't it?
Yes.
That they're like it's basically a salary cap, and the universities are paying the kids directly now.
Yeah, it says the annual cap for this year will be $20 million per school, and then they're going to give each player a fixed amount. So I guess like A&M is going to get a $20 million check from the NCAA, and everybody from, well, I guess it would be every year for 10 years. So I guess they're going to start in 2016, next year go 2017. So A&M is going to get $20 million, and everybody that was on the roster 2016 is going to get a portion of that.
So that's basically the
It's
same
how
as
I'm
a
understanding
salary
it.
cap. So that would be it's 20 million. Was there 85 players on scholarship? Is that right?
Yeah, 85 scholarships.
So they're going to divide 20 million by 85. So each kid's going to get $250,000.
Motherfucker.
That'd be okay.
Yeah, each kid's going to get $250,000.
Damn it.
There's somebody right now that's like, hell yes,
Yeah.
about
That didn't
time.
make it.
I can think of a few of them that are probably going to be, oh man, yeah, payday's coming. Good for them though. They deserve it, man. Good for them.
You ain't gonna be able to buy a bottle of Hennessy in some places in Houston, Texas, right now. I'm telling you right now.
No, dude, no strip clubs will be packed.
I'm
the liquor
telling you.
stores full, dude.
Yeah. The guy,
Three months later, they're in the same boat.
But he's gonna have a new grill. Whoever's selling grill in Houston, Texas, right now is like, hell yeah, our business
finally.
just went up. It's about to get them checks cut now. And then you're gonna have the guy that's gonna invest that money in something. In 30 years, you're gonna know how that guy's worth $50 million from
All
that one
from-
check.
all from that check.
that he got from the. Give it. I'm not an NCAA fan on the governing body no more than I am the UIL, so I really don't care. I don't think the NCAA is going to be relevant in college football in 5 years. I think that the Big Ten and the SEC are going to probably start their own TV contract deals, and they're just going to completely leave the NCAA in football.
Well, in a way, Jeff, isn't this the beginning of that divorce right
Yes.
now? Is because they're leaving the universities in charge of all that stuff, and the NCAA is taking it there. The NCAA is a terrible organization.
Yes, it
One
is.
of the best things that could ever happen to not just football, but to all collegiate sports is for the NCAA to die a quick and swift death.
Yeah,
But,
they're just somehow they're a governing body that's gotten rich off the backs of university. It's kind of like a VRBO guy. He don't own a house, but he's making a shitload of money off of people renting houses out.
That's it, man.
They've done the same thing. Let's talk some Canada now.
Okay.
Are you things have kind of leveled out up there? I haven't seen as much stuff there for a little bit. I was getting a lot of people from Canada that I know, guides and stuff out there about the anti-American sentiment, and I haven't seen none in a while, so I'm hopefully that's going to all level out. Are you seeing any of that or hearing any of that, or everything been pretty good so far?
Let me tell you something, man. Like, there, a lot of those people, we've been up there for so long now in the same area that I am so close. They're not just friends, man. A lot of those folks are family to me. And it, like, a lot of it was a running joke for a while. I have never received anything negative about it from any of the people that I deal with the majority of the time. That being said, you know how it is. Every year, every fall, winter, what have you, wherever you are, but just in Alberta, I'll make contact with a farmer or landowner that I've never met before because for whatever reason, the birds decided to get in their field at that time. And so you make that contact, and I could see that, like me being a new guy to them, a stranger to them, American they'd never met. I can maybe see some of that stuff getting thrown back in my face. But for my regular guys that I hunt on and deal with, I haven't heard anything. And hey, a couple of my guides went up there in late April, early May to snow goose hunt. And I asked them about it. They were up there for a week or a little longer than a week, and I never heard one thing about it.
Well, that's good then. But I'd gotten some email. I just was kind of curious what was going on with all that.
It might hurt like guys that are just starting, you know what I mean, that don't have a relationship or whatever.
They don't have that. That's right.
Yeah, that don't have their foot in the door and kind of starting from scratch. It might hurt them a little bit more than it does like you established guys that have been doing it for so long now.
But in that part of the world, man, I mean, most of those folks think like us. Those are real salt of the earth people, man. And I don't know. I mean, it's not like I devised that tariff deal with Trump. I don't have him on speed dial or something. I guess you could hate on me about it, but I didn't really have much to do with it.
Yeah, no, I was left out of those negotiations. But I saw that like somebody in Alberta, one of their congressmen, I don't know what you would call it, was going to the White House to try to figure out like how can Alberta divorce from Canada and be a United States territory or whatever. So
Be the next Texas.
I guess.
And they would bring so much to the table, man. I mean, Alberta, Saskatchewan. I spent, I worked for Ward for 4 years, so I got to know a lot of those people and see what they have. But man, between their beef industry, the timber, the oil, and then obviously the agriculture, they would bring so much to us. But and I know a bunch of them that are for it. If it did happen, I don't know if that's a realistic deal or what.
Alberta, they're whatever you call the leader. I don't know if they have governors or.
I think it's a premier. I think I'm right.
The premier there from Alberta wants to join the United States, but I don't know how it goes about leaving Canada, and I don't know how that entitled. Does the King Charles? Does he own?
King owns Canada.
So
in a weird way.
So they really can't do it. But though they're more aligned in Alberta. Now, when you get to the plains of Saskatchewan, they're aligned with us too. But
sure.
Alberta really, if you took a vote there, they would probably vote to come here overwhelmingly with probably a 60% margin or 65%. I tell you what, we trade them California and all that bullshit, and you bring us Alberta, we'd be a lot better off. I'd be happy as hell. And we'll throw in Washington and Oregon just for good measure. And I know a lot of good people in Washington and Oregon that would be more than happy to move a little further east or north to get out of that shit.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Just go to Idaho. That's where you got. If you're in Washington, just go to Idaho.
The people in Idaho tell you they don't want nobody else from Seattle moving there.
Oh, they're done.
Did you see where LA is absolutely burning down? I cannot believe
what's the deal with that? Are they holding a peaceful protest against?
Yeah, they're
about something the cops did.
Yeah,
Summer of Love.
Their peaceful protest is amazing. I said Cory Booker yesterday. It's a peaceful protest. I don't think burning down cop cars and throwing bricks through shit is very peaceful. Supposedly, ICE did a raid on some business that was laundering money back to the drug cartels, and Jose or Enrique or somebody got mad about it. Now they got all this shit going, and they're burning flags and doing all this shit. They're just rounding them up. That's what I do too. I mean, illegal's illegal. You're not helping yourself.
So it's ICE, Border Patrol. It's not the LA Police Department.
The LAPD got attacked and says Trump said, "I'm not putting up with this shit." So we're sending in the Marines. That's what I do, anyways.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's sitting in the Marines with the National Guards, and good for him. I would too.
That's news to me, man.
I'd take 50,000 of them up there to every big city and clean all the damn nooks and crannies out and get our country back. I mean, he ain't going to run again, so it doesn't matter if his ratings go down to 4%. It really don't matter. Clean up our damn country and get rid of some of this shit. That's what everybody voted for. Everybody is for everything that's going on right now. Some people just don't have the stomach to take what it's going to do. And there are some good people that are in our country that are here illegally. I know that. I know some of them.
Oh, sure.
But every one of them has had the opportunity over the last 20 years to start the process of getting legal. A friend of mine yesterday has got a bunch of people that work for him that are immigrants. All legal. He told me, he said, I know how much money I had to spend to get them here legally, and I know how much money they're having to spend to do everything legal. He said, I have no use for that crap going on out there because these people are paid big money to come here and do it legally, and that's what everyone should do. And I'm with him.
Yeah, I would think most of the people that voted for that guy and put him in office would agree with you too, man. And there's gonna, I mean, and I'm fine with him sending those folks over and putting a stop to that stuff, dude. I
Yeah.
mean, do you remember how bad? Not, I mean, during that COVID year, our world got so wild, but that's also when all them riots started because of the George Floyd thing. You saw how out of hand it got and how peaceful that stuff was, and that's the last thing we want is for something like that to start all over again.
This Saturday or next Saturday, they're wanting 1,500 cities to have a big organized deal with George Soros money in there. They ought to put that some bitch under prison too. But people in the United States have had enough of this shit. We don't want it. So you come to a city by me and you're tearing shit up, arrest them all and send them over. I don't care. I really don't care no more. And that's what we voted for. We're sick of this shit. And we're sick of giving money away, and it's just it's getting ugly. But I feel sorry for good people in California. They're just trying to go to work, because it's not a peaceful protest at all. There ain't nothing peaceful about it. It's kind of like,
And when did that start, man?
I think Friday night or Thursday, but it's kind of like you just give these people an excuse. You're 16 years old, and all of a sudden you can go egg and vandalize your neighbor's shit, and nobody's going to do nothing to you. Hell, it's just fun and chaos. So these people just join in wanting to tear shit up. Good deal. We can start a fire. We can throw rocks at cop cars and stuff. Nobody's going to do nothing to us. It's free pass.
No, there's no repercussion for their action. I mean, they get, their wrists slapped and then they get sent on their way, man. That's all that happens.
Yep. So now you get your ass slit, your wrist slapped, and your ass ends up in fucking Tijuana or somewhere.
That'd
be a good thing.
I just don't understand why they're all like, every one of them is toting the Mexican flag.
Because they're Mexicans.
I know that. Fucking go there then.
I agree with you 100%. Everybody does.
You're fighting for this, and you're draping yourself in the Mexican flag. It's real simple. You're in LA. You're not that far from Mexico.
Nope.
Just go right on over the border. And
got so much pride, Andy, they all decided to flee it.
Yeah.
Ain't that something?
yeah.
And the funny thing is, you don't like the way shit it's doing down there, go around and fucking right in there and see what the fucking drug cartels will shoot your ass.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And people, I'm sure there's a bunch of people thinking what Trump's about to do, sending the Marines down there is just a terrible deal or what.
Yeah.
But I don't hold a candle to what them guys would do south of the border.
No. Or one thing I read on Threads, some lady said, you don't see protests like this in countries like in Saudi Arabia and these other places because they're so happy they don't have to. Yeah, because they'll get their fucking heads chopped off.
They'll throw them off the top of the building.
Yeah.
They'll put them on YouTube with the chainsaw next to their neck.
Yeah.
That's right.
You go to a Queers for Palestine meeting in Palestine and you see what you're going to come out of that shit. There ain't nobody there. They've all been
ain't
killed.
Coming out alive.
No. And they just, people are so stupid. They think, if the rest of the world is such a great place, why does everybody try to come here?
Yeah, no joke.
Anyways, I don't know how we went from Canada hunting to this, but
I don't know.
It's terrible.
What was snow goose season like this year?
Our snow goose season in Arkansas was just the CO in general was it was very mid. I don't know, man. My regular season, okay, in Arkansas was fabulous, man. My daily average on the birds was really strong. Not just shooting specs, but we were shooting a lot of snows with it. It was just really good. And so what those birds were showing me, I thought that our conservation order here was going to be pretty good, and it just wasn't. We had a few good ones, where we cracked over 100 or whatever, but from a consistency standpoint, it wasn't there for us this year. But in my part of Arkansas, stuff has really changed since I started coming here 16, 17 years ago. Farming practices have really changed, man. Guys are much more aggressive in their farming practice now. So as soon as that farmer, I don't know what y'all see. Y'all may see the same thing in your part of the world. I don't know. But as soon as that farmer gets their crop out, man, if it's dry enough now, they're going right behind it and disking it up. Some guys are floating it, and they're doing as much prep work as they possibly can for the spring seeding or planting season in the fall. Mm-hmm. They're doing it. They're getting it ready because, here in Arkansas, man, it can be wet. I mean, these guys, I know several farmers here right now that still haven't got all their crop in the ground. I just got here yesterday and I dumped another 5 inches out of our rain gauge. It doesn't stop raining. It rained a little bit this morning here, and so anyway, what I'm getting at, that aggressive farming practice. Okay, so there's less out in the field for the goose. Obviously, there's more pressure now than there used to be, but we used to consistently be able to hunt birds here until the first weekend, second weekend of March. And now, man, I hold my breath that we make it till the 28th of February. Just they don't stick like they once did.
Yeah,
but no, it was okay. We most definitely had better, but it was all right.
We're seeing that. We've seen that for a while now with the changing of farming practices. Like you said, if it's a dry year, especially, they're turning and burning and kind of getting everything ready for the planting season in the springtime. It's frustrating too. You see this beautiful peanut field and you're thinking it's going to hold birds and you're going to get this many hunters off of it and that'll help pay for whatever, and then Christmas they got a disc out there and you're like, oh no.
Oh dude, I know. And hey man, God bless them. I love the guys I deal with, man. A farmer's gonna farm, dude.
That's right.
But yeah, it hurts a little bit, but whatever. They're gonna do their thing. Hey, I wanted to ask you something, or y'all something about. Now, y'all spec limit went up out in West Texas, didn't it? Like where you could shoot 5. I think y'all self-regulated.
Yes, you could shoot 5, and we stopped at 3.
Good for you. But what I was going to ask, so this year in Arkansas, we went back down to 2 birds. And our spec hunting, dude, I mean, just one less goose now. But our spec hunting from the beginning of it, I mean, even in the early season, it starts Halloween weekend here. It starts that last weekend of October and goes for 9 days. But from then until January 31st, our last day in the field that you could shoot a black goose, our spec hunting, man, was so good and consistently good. And it's why, you're sitting here talking just you and I, one less goose, that can't be that drastic. Well, think about how many fewer man hours there are out in the field disrupting those birds, not calling to them, not driving a buggy or a four-wheeler or a truck out in the field, guys out picking up decoys, calling at geese, shooting at geese, how many less flocks you're shooting into now. It made a bunch of sense once you take 2 steps back and look at it, especially with all the guys we have that are goose hunting here now. But it was good. I hope they keep it right where it is. If the population goes up or whatever, I'm happy. My guys are happy. I never had anybody complain about it. We had as many guests come through our place as we could possibly handle, and never, not once was that a topic. It was good.
Yeah, I think as long as you're like doing it the right way, you know what I mean, and like calling birds in close and making the quality really, really good, I don't really think that guys give too much of a shit about shooting that one less goose because they got their limit, right? You were perfect.
But like for y'all, Andy, like how were the specs? So was this the first year y'all shot 3? Was this past season?
Yes. I don't ever remember it. It was all
harder. Or did you see anything like that or notice anything?
Our season was harder this year, I think.
It seems to me that our season was backwards this year. Like, it seemed to me that the early birds were almost impossible. Like, I can remember November and December being really, really tough. But for whatever reason, we finished really strong. I don't know what happened. I don't know what changed in the birds' mind, but January for us was strong. But like I was talking to guys in Canada in September. I remember taking a phone call. Somebody was hunting in Canada and all they had were specs around them. And they're like, we cannot get these birds to do anything. So for whatever reason, the guys that were struggling in Canada, I think we got all of their birds. November to me seemed like it was tougher than it had been previously.
Yeah, it was. Our November hunts, the last couple of years, November has the last 10 years, November's been just lights out.
Great.
Just easy hunting. We also were really wet this year in November, like had an 8-inch rain early in November, and there was sheet water, Birds done things different. It was really weird. And I don't think our birds really pattern normally again until late December and January.
Once it dried out.
Once it dried out, then we started really getting on them again. But we had some good hunts in November, but it wasn't the get November we've had normally.
No, November typically, like you just kind of go out there, you set your half-ass spread and make a couple of notes on a spec call, and like they just pretty well just do what specs do. And this year it was not that way. But like Jeff said, a lot of it, we were very wet. Birds didn't pattern. They would feed in the field. We think we got it lined out for the next day, and then we would set up, and then they would go 2 fields over.
And they wouldn't be loyal to it, and they'd field hop, and you see them a mile away or something. So I got a couple questions for you on the specs in November. Did you have many chickens early? Many baby specs mixed in the flock?
I can't really remember. That part doesn't. I can look back on old photos and see kind of what I got.
And then the second thing I got for you is the specs. When they would come out to you, were they in big groups, or were they coming out to you? Sorry, and what I think specs normally do, which is almost like hunt honkers or something, anywhere from like 2 to 12 geese or something, family groups. Mostly, how were they coming to you?
Yes, they were doing the couple hunts that we saw. We had some of the bigger groups, but I think that we had kind of the shitty size flock, kind of that 20-ish range. Like what I've noticed is whenever specs get in really big groups out here, they're in such a hurry to land that they just kind of forget everything. Like they kind of throw caution to the wind, and they're so hungry that you get these big groups, and that's when you get your big spins because they're so keyed in on being the first to land. I think that 20 bird flock is a pain in the ass because it's just their family group and they're more picky. So I remember talking to Blake about this. It always seemed like it was that smaller 15 to 25 birds in a flock, and they were all like really, really quiet coming off.
Oh, dude, I try to tell people this a bunch, but if you ever have a group of geese, speckled belly's okay approaching you. And if they ain't saying anything, if they're not talking, you might as well just go ahead and pour you another cup of coffee, buddy. Because you ain't getting them. I promise. Yeah. You ain't. Because they're already spooked. They already know something's going on. And that's going to be that group of birds that goes and lands 30 yards from a fence line, 400 yards from you, and sits there and looks at you the whole time. That's what they're going to do.
Yep. And we saw that quite a bit too. It was November. So usually later in the year, we'll switch things up because we only goose hunt in the morning here. We goose hunt in the morning, and then guys can go pheasant hunt. They can duck hunt in the afternoon, whatever. It was in November that we ran our first afternoon hunt, and we didn't do many of them. Like there were only like 2 or 3 days in November that we did it. And I remember thinking, because we got our ass kicked that morning, it's like, all right, we're going to switch gears. We're going to hunt them in the afternoon. We're just going to beat the brakes off of them. And they field hopped. They didn't come to the field that they fed in that morning. They went to another field that we had hunted they went to the field that we hunted that morning. And then we hunted them in the field that they fed in that morning. And then they went back to the other field that we were in just 6 hours earlier. It's like, what?
You're trying to stay one step ahead of them, and you end up 2 steps back. Dude, yeah, it's funny how that works out, ain't it?
But like we hyped it up at lunch, like, oh yeah, we're going to that field where all those birds landed. Like we watched them all morning train into this field, and blah blah blah. And we set up there, and one flock lands where we had just hunted that morning, and I was like, oh, that's not good. Another flock lands, and then before you know it, it looks like a beehive on that field that we were just in, and guys were understanding. You know what I mean? Like you went to the field that they were in. Like, what else can you do? You don't have a crystal ball to be like, oh yeah, they're going to shortstop us today. So guys are understanding.
So what changed for y'all in January? You think was it a weather deal? Like, did it get colder?
I think it was the birds patterned. A lot of our sheet water dried up. I mean, one of the things we dealt with was you'd have a peanut field with a half an inch of water on it on 5 or 10 yards, and those birds would go to it. We had a field we called the slop field last year. We've never, in 30-something years out here hunting, first time I've ever hunted this field. It was just standing water in a deal, and we hunted it 5 or 6 times in November.
Wheat stubble.
And we've never hunted it. Really? I mean, it's just weird when we have a field we've never hunted after all these years, and then all of a sudden it had birds for a week straight. So we hunted this field a couple of times. Once those fields like that all kind of dried up again, then we started getting patterning again. And we did get some weather. We didn't have any weather until almost
mild.
Christmas. It was a very mild November and December. November, we got a shitload of rain like the second week of season. I mean, wet, wet, wet. And then it didn't rain again, but it just stayed kind of stagnant. Like the low temperatures would go down a little bit to close to average by the time by Christmas got here, but it was a slow decline. We didn't have any of where the lows are 40, it would go 40, 39, 38. 30. We didn't have a day where the low was 10 and the high was 28. It was just kind of a gradual, just cold as winter got here. So the temperatures were not that normal. It wasn't really hot. It just never changed. It was flatline the whole way.
Sometimes you need that change of weather, man, just to get them going.
Yes.
Be it a warm up, a cool down, or whatever. But sometimes you just need to break out that change to get those birds to do something different, to be a little more dependable.
I think our first big cold front was right at Christmas.
I didn't put on long johns until after Christmas break.
Yeah, it's about the same for us, man. Our weather was very mild for the majority of the season.
But y'all had fronts that come across Minnesota and went from Minnesota to Indiana, across northern part of Missouri, and went that way. Those cold fronts were sliding. So y'all were getting pushes of birds. We weren't getting any pushes. Everything was stuck in the Dakotas, Montana. Hell, eastern Colorado, I don't think they got birds until middle of December last year, most places.
Really?
Because my guides... One of my guides is from California, or not California, Colorado. And then he's friends with a kid that used to work here that lived in Montana. And they were talking about how just they were having the same. Well, one kid went home at Christmas time, is from Eastern Washington. And he said they didn't have no ducks like they normally have. He said, usually you get off and we're shooting ducks left and right. And they didn't hardly have any birds still. And that was right at Christmas time. Just no winter. We've had the most...
them ducks, I know I ain't telling y'all nothing. Them ducks, especially the mallards, man. Like, if you don't get the weather... there's so many ducks that just stay up north of the border, dude. And think about it, man. Like, most of the guys, like me, like any outfitter or whatever, freelancers, most of them, they're all out of there by Halloween.
Yeah.
And so if the water isn't frozen, if the birds can still access a food source, guess what, buddy? And there's no pressure, they ain't leaving. Why would you leave?
We've had the most normal spring that we've had in 20 years here. Now, we've had springs where we've had some bad weather. We hadn't had a day yet over 100, I don't think.
Maybe one.
But usually we're already at 105 or 6 because May gets really hot. We hadn't had any of that this year. We've had rain 2, 3, 4 nights in a row like we used to. Not every day's getting an inch or two of rain, but we have the chance of thunderstorms in the area every day. We're wet. We're back to normal weather patterns, it seems like right now. I think we're going to have a normal winter, like a regular winter, where we're going to get fronts in September and October, where we used to get a front every 7 to 10 days, a good front, every 7 to 10 days. We hadn't had that in a long time. It's like you get a big front in 3 weeks, and then it warms up to 80 degrees again, and then 3 weeks later, you get another pretty decent front. Well, it used to be you'd get a front. Sometimes you get 2 a week. But I think we're gonna get back to having maybe some normal winter. But we've had a normal spring where we get a dry line and it backs back up towards Lubbock and it fires up thunderstorms and they come through and it pushes through our area at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. Wichita Falls gets it at 3 or 4 in the morning, and that was normal. Well, that's what we've been having this year. I don't remember us having this long a month, because it's been doing this now for almost 2 months. I looked it up just a minute ago. Our weather, we've had, in the last 365 days, we've had 36 inches of rain here. And that is above average. But it's been going on now continuously, really good since January. We had a really normal last 2-3 months.
Well, that's good, man. So I imagine all y'all's ply lakes and watersheds and all that are full, huh?
After last night, they're pretty damn close. Now, it's weird. We've been getting rain, and right when it starts running off, it quits raining. Like we get 1.5 inches of rain, it quits raining. Well, we've had 1.5 inches of rain 2 different times this week, and last night we had a 3.5 inch rain in some places. So there's a lot of water in those places.
That's good. Is that keeping y'all's farmers out of the fields too, or guys planting now, or they pretty much done?
I think everything's in already.
Corn and all the corn, milo, and peanuts are in. The only thing they don't have in is cotton. And if this continues for another 2 or 3 weeks, they may not get some cotton. And they're not planting that much cotton anymore anyways. It's kind of it's gone out. Yeah. But the corn looks excellent. The milo looks good. It's coming up everywhere. The peanuts look good. Everything looks good. There's a lot of the crops have all got in. We got enough dry that got all of those grains in.
Hey,
What about winter wheat in y'all's area? Do you see much of that anymore? Or is that kind of gone away?
No, they'll always have that because of cattle. Cattle prices are so high, they put wheat on anything they can to run cattle on it.
But what's weird is like we've got a whole area. So when Jeff and Tony first started back in the 90s, you had the wheat country and then you had the peanut country, and the Brazos River is what divides it. A section of geese would stay on the wheat country and they would only eat wheat. And then you would have the other half of the lake basically would come south and they would eat the peanuts. Since we have lost the Lesser Canada goose and have gone only to basically only having specklebellies here, the specklebellies pretty much don't ever go up to our wheat country. Now, the whole wheat country that used to be with lessers, a couple 100,000 lessers up there, it's loaded with cranes. So I don't know if specks and cranes don't commingle or if specklebellies, for whatever reason, prefer the peanuts over the wheat.
Well, obviously they do. I mean, they're telling you that every single year when y'all aren't getting too many hunts out of the wheat fields on them. That's funny, man. We have a little wheat here. Most of it anymore is done as like a food plot, if you will. But because just the wheat prices are way down, we don't have cattle in this area, so guys don't really do it. You're seeing it mostly as a cover crop or something like that. If you do, just to help that farmer's soil out or whatever. But the specs, man, and the wheat, if it's close to water, they like to short hop into it some. But really, man, like they only get in our wheat fields if it's cold or late season, like right there towards the end, they'll kind of start hitting it pretty good. But that's really it, man. Like if it's just a mild Chamber of Commerce kind of day, man, they're not going to that wheat, dude. They're going to rice or beans or something.
But what's crazy is we've got one spot that's got a wheat field. It's a place that the T spot. And we shoot geese off the wheat there all the time.
But that's what he's saying. It's right off of the water. This wheat field butts up to that water. And that's what they do up at Davis.
North,
There's one wheat field that's on the major roost up there. They'll hop off the roost. They'll feed on this wheat field, and then they'll come south out of that wheat field.
Yeah, you see the same thing here. I mean, the wheat fields that really get hammered around here, whatever, it's ones that are really close to a water source, be it a big reservoir, some duck water that somebody has in a rice field or something like that. But those are the wheat fields that really got a target on their back. If the geese got to fly several miles to get to one, again, it's going to be late season or a real cold snap that's going to force those birds to get in that green stuff.
We had a piss poor duck season till Christmas. And then when it got cold, we shot a lot of ducks in January. We had some really good duck shoots in January, but we didn't have any ducks.
Y'all shoot them out of the fields mostly, Jeff?
We had some good field hunts, but we also had some good water hunts. But we started shooting ducks all the time. Because I told everybody, like right now, if you called me and you said, what about shooting some ducks while we're goose hunting? We got water everywhere. We're going to have water this year, so we should shoot ducks everywhere. We should shoot ducks every morning, a couple of ducks. You might shoot 1, 2, 3 ducks. You might shoot 20 ducks. I don't know. But when you have the water we should have ducks. Last year, we didn't have any ducks hardly. Then in January, we started shooting ducks every morning.
Crazy what that cooler weather will do. Did y'all get that colder?
Yeah, that's once the cold hit, we started having a lot of ducks. But up until Christmas, we didn't hardly have any ducks. And
are y'all shoot mallards in the field, Jeff, when y'all do, or is it mostly pintails, widgeon, that sort of thing?
We'll shoot mallards and pintails in the peanuts, and then we'll shoot widgeons in the wheat.
Okay.
But we just, it's not like it was 20 years ago because we don't have any winter. Yeah. The mallard duck.
Hey, much like it was 20 years ago, Jeff. This deal's forever.
No, the mallard duck has really, really changed the way it migrates and the way it does things. I mean, it's almost got nocturnal in so many places. It gets so much pressure put on it, and it's just nuts the way that in my time of being in this business, which is getting to be one of the old men in this business. We'll be at 40 years here before long. You see things that change, and the mallard duck has really changed since I got in this business to now. Shooting mallards in fields was so normal back in the day. We don't see them like we used to. Then when you see them back in the day, you'd see them all the time. Middle of the day, you'd see ducks a lot of times. Now ducks are flying an hour, 30 minutes before dark, and that's it. First light, 30 minutes after dark. It's like a mallard duck sits from about 7:30 in the morning until about 5 o'clock in the afternoon and don't do shit.
Oh, Jeff, you ought to see it out here in this part of Arkansas. Now, I don't duck hunt or anything like that. We're just goose hunting here in Arkansas. But, man, these ducks, dude, in the ag field specifically, so coming out to somebody's flooded beans or rice or what have you, the only time you see them ducks come out to that ag field is after shooting hours or on a thaw or something like that. That's it, dude. You know, it used to be guys were always under the idea that, oh, you know, them ducks are, you know, on a dark moon or something, they'll come out, it'll force them out into the fields. You know, they're only feeding at night under a full moon or something like that. Dude, that ain't it. Those ducks out here, because, again, I think it's more pressure induced than anything else, is they got us timed up, man. And the only, like I said, you see them after shooting hours, on a thaw, and then on rainy days and stuff, you see them come out to the rice pretty heavy. But outside of that, dude, them ducks, you'll see them leave in the morning, and we hunt next to rice fields a lot that'll be holding some water. Hey, and we'll be sitting there goose hunting, dude, and you might kick out a bunch of ducks in the morning when you're going to set up and all that. And when you're hunting, you won't see a duck. You wouldn't think a duck existed on that prairie until you come back, you know, after shooting hours, and then they're swarming something like bees or whatever. But it's wild, man. They just go hide in these little nooks and crannies and reservoirs and bayous and creeks and what have you, dude. And they don't come out.
Yeah, it's a man-made. We've caused this issue with the pressure 100%. We put on them. But you got a duck that's a 10-year-old mallard drake, the trophy duck everywhere he goes. He has been targeted and pressured from September 1st until the end of January. He never gets a rest anywhere. He gets pushed out, does everything on time, and there's millions of them like that. And we wonder why they've never. And I don't know what I had a guy that floods corn, and he told me, he said, my problem is they come to my corn and they feed all night long, and then during the day when we hunt, they don't fly. And I was like, I'd put some propane cannons on there. What do you mean? I put propane cannons on there at nighttime and make them go off all night long. Make them go back and then come back and be hungry. Don't let them eat feed all night. And maybe you can change that. But I think it's that way everywhere.
Oh, everywhere. And so, like, one of the things, because I don't see them, you know, we get some in Alberta. Actually, we'll get them pretty good there about the last week, 2 weeks of the season. But the lessers, you know, if you shoot a lesser in Arkansas, it's like a prize. Call the Chronicle. They'll probably put you in a newspaper with your picture on it holding that goose. But are those birds just that nomadic? You know, like y'all's part of the world. Y'all used to get a ton of them, and now do y'all kill many at all anymore?
They all went west and east.
Yeah,
they stopped in Oklahoma, and I think they stopped
Fort Cobb, Oklahoma, Amarillo, and Lubbock. But they'll change again. A guy told me.
Is that a habitat thing, you think? Is that a pressure? What's the deal on that?
I think they're movers. I think that about every 20 years they bounce to new places. I had a guy tell me that like my third or fourth year in season. He goes, what are you going to do when the little Canadas quit coming there? I go, what are you talking about? I mean, we've been 10 years of just hammering the shit out of them because we had the best lesser hunting in the world at that time, probably, or as good as anywhere. And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, they bounce all the time. He goes, you look at them in history, all the places they've been. They'll be there for 20 years, and they get up and they go somewhere else for 20 years. And then 20 years, they'll bounce somewhere else, then they'll go somewhere else. He said they move around. It can be pressure, it can be drought, it can be food. But once they start going to a new place, they'd be there all the time. And we had a drought, and we didn't have it was drought, not as many peanuts, and we lost them. Well, luckily, we got all the specs that came in behind them, and we still kill some lessers. And we had some really.
What year did that start, Jeff? What year was that transition?
2011 and 12. And we had some days last year that we killed more Canadas than we did Specs because I was really surprised because
it's been a lot. But it wasn't many.
No, it wasn't. But that's a change from what we've seen the last 15 years or 10 years. But before then, it was all Canadas. Like I would go out, and if I had 30 clients and the limit was 5, we were going to shoot 150 Canadas in the day as a camp. And we might shoot 3 speckle bellies, and we might shoot 2 snow geese. We kill a shitload of ducks too. but that changed. But they bounce around. Well, Lubbock had a whole lot. I don't think Lubbock's holding as many small Canadas now. I think there's more at Amarillo. I don't know. And they'll bounce. And someone's going to call me and they're going to say, no, you don't know what you're talking about.
Great Bend, Kansas was that way.
Yes, and they lost them, and they all went to Wichita, Kansas, and I think they're getting some back. But I do know what I'm talking about because I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen this. Those birds will bounce around, and they may end up around Wichita Falls. They may end up in Clovis, New Mexico holds a lot of birds right now. Those birds will bounce somewhere, and something will happen, and it'll push them around. Food sources change. Let's say 1 year corn prices drop down to nothing, and they quit growing corn in a certain place, or peanut prices do, or whatever it is. You take away their food and water, they're going to go somewhere else.
Oh, yeah, there'll be a shift, man. Birds need three things, man: food, water, shelter.
Yep.
And if they can't get those, they're going to move around until they find it.
And if they find a place they're safe and they get some free time there, they'll stay there and they'll come back over and over again.
That's right.
And that's what happened when we got this. When I first started hunting out here as a kid in the late 70s, early 80s, like 1978, 79 was my first time to hunt in this area. I don't remember. We shot some geese, but we would see, maybe looking back, 5,000 geese would be a lot of geese back then. But we had 50 to 100,000 ducks here. We had ducks out there. We were duck hunters. We shot some geese, but we were duck hunters because that's what we had, and tons of them. And it's funny, I know the same field that I hunted the first time in a goose spread out here. I drive by it every once in a while. Very first time I ever hunted as a goose spread, I was probably 8 years old. And the geese had been feeding there. And we probably hunted a feed that probably had 1,000 geese in it. But it was big. It was a big feed back then. Mm-hmm. But in 1982 and 83, we had a horrible freeze that year. And those birds got down here, and we had a lot of peanuts. First started really growing peanuts here. And those birds imprinted. They had a big hatch. And then since then, it was just ungodly how many of them would come back. So they'll bounce around again. I hope in my lifetime I see the small Canadas here again like I used to. I really do.
But to answer your question, what started it for us was a major drought.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the
so you get that big change in habitat.
You had that
water
big
levels,
change.
Crops suffered. Yeah.
6 inches of rain in like 18 months is what we had.
It was bad.
Oh,
yeah, it was bad. Like the Roos Lakes were just mud holes basically, and
bone dry.
I mean, there was just enough for the geese that we had here. And then that's when we started
seeing... Were the specs already starting to show up at that time, or what?
We were killing more specs, but not like...
So whenever I first started... When I got married in 2011, and I came back out here. All right, Jeff's got to go.
I got to go, Travis. Thank you, bud. I got to catch a flight. You have a good day.
I'll see you, man. Be safe.
God bless you, bud. Thank you.
So I got married in 2011, and came back out here. I was going to guide full-time, and this is what I was going to do. But up until then, I remember like in high school and everything, up until about Thanksgiving, we shot mostly speckle bellies. Because I can remember as a kid, we'd have those early groups in November. And back in high school, it was a 1 speckle belly limit. And like you would shoot your specs and then you'd be done for the day. You might scratch out a couple Canadas. But right around Thanksgiving is when everything kind of inverted. You would go from seeing mostly speckle bellies, and then at that Thanksgiving mark, you would just have all your Canada geese here. And then we were either done early enough that I never noticed the speckle bellies flying, or they went to South Texas or Arkansas or wherever they went to back then. Louisiana, maybe.
All that stuff, yeah.
So 2011, we shot a bunch of speckle bellies and we shot a bunch of lessers. And then kind of that 2011, 2012 season, it was only speckle bellies here. Like that's when we started going up into Oklahoma. We were some of the first people to hunt around like that Hobart area is where we eventually kind of made home in Oklahoma. And for 5 years, and what's crazy is that's only a 2-hour drive from us. You know what I mean? Like they just stopped 90 miles north, basically. It was all the birds that we used to see down here are now up in Oklahoma. And we ran kind of a skeleton crew here in Texas, and they would go after mainly speckle bellies. And we would shoot R2 a day. And then, I'm trying to think of what year it was, maybe 2016, we started seeing like a shitload of specs here. And then Oklahoma did what Oklahoma has done, and everybody started flocking to it and couldn't let birds rest in a field without somebody, dicking with them off of the road. And we finally figured out, like, we have enough birds at home that we don't have to run a second camp in Oklahoma. So we
Well, good
just,
for you, dude. From what I hear about that place,
it's
and
a shit show.
I know some really good guys in Oklahoma, but you couldn't pay me enough money to go out there and start a deal and get in on that circus.
Uh,
No thanks. I'm good.
it's exactly what it is. And what's crazy is like, we found this pocket of birds in Hobart, and we were the only ones there. We were the only ones there. Kind of had all these birds to ourselves, and then Secret got out. And then the next year there was another person that was kind of driving in. And then the next year it was two other people, and one of them had made permanent roots there. And then finally that last year, and the duck hunting was really good there too. A lot of mallards, a lot of field duck hunting. It was a special place for a couple of years. And then Secret got out, and social media kind of let the cat out of the bag on a few things. And yeah, it's a shit show. But like, we would try to rest a field, and then you would go look at somewhere else and you'd see your field blow up. It's like, what the fuck? So we got out.
Well, and there's no regulation out there, right, Andy? I mean, I don't even know. Does Oklahoma even make you buy a guide license? Is there anything like that? I mean, do you have to show proof of insurance? Is there an outfitter license? Is there any form of regulation there, or is it just the Wild West?
Pretty much the Wild West, but Texas is that way to a certain extent. There's no guide license or proof of insurance, which I think that there should be. At least have to carry liability insurance, but in Oklahoma, you have to have a hunting license to guide. But
And a pulse,
yeah,
and that's it.
and during I can't remember exactly how many years we were up there. 5, I'll say, just for shits and giggles. But I was never checked by a game warden, not one time in 5 years. One time I was doing...
Okay, so if y'all were there for 5 years, Andy, how long was it good until the people really started to move in on you?
Even up until that last year was probably when it was like, there's too many people here. Like, it was that last year where like we had seen what it was the years prior, and we might have been there longer than 5 years, and it might have been a year shorter. I can't remember, but around that 5-year mark. But I remember that last year, it was me and another guide up there, and we both kind of looked at each other at the same time. We were scouting, and we were just like, this is not fun up here anymore. We were away from home, we were away, like everything was going on at the lodge. So we were still running here a couple groups a day. We were running up there. Jeff was back and forth between Oklahoma and Knox City. He'd be up there for part of the week and down here for part of the week. And it's just like, we're spread too thin. This is not fun anymore.
There you go. Yeah, man, you're spread thin. You go drive around. Anything that's got from a big body of birds in it to a little bitty pocket probably has some dude sitting on the corner or somebody pulling into a farmyard to knock on a door or something. And then, so all that you're describing, I'm laughing at it because that's what I go through here in Arkansas in February.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as, and I know that them boys in Oklahoma can hunt black geese until, what is it, like halfway through February?
It's like
roughly.
Valentine's Day.
But there you go. But when January's over, hey, dude, anybody that's got some red dirt on their boots, they just get in their truck and they drive east, man, until they hit a rice field. It's us, and they flood this place. It's comical. It really is.
I can vividly remember we're out scouting and just shit was not going our way, and it was January already, and we were just like, this sucks. This is bad. This is just not fun anymore. Because and I mean, we were used to having our honey pot and nobody messing with it, and we would have fields lined up for 3 days into the future, hunt on Sunday, and we're set until Wednesday. And then for whatever reason, like that last year, it didn't seem like the birds were in our area. They were further north into Oklahoma or something like that. So we already saw a reduction in the amount of birds that we were going after. We saw an increase in people, and just like, fuck, this is not fun. So then,
hey, dude, doesn't Oklahoma? So I went up there and freelanced a couple years when I was in college or whatever, and man, the duck hunting was freaking fabulous. Dude. Dry fields over water, whatever. It was great. I mean, this is before I ever saw what Canada had to offer, and so I was like, man, how does it get any better than this? When it can, but when I was going to Oklahoma the goose limit, which when I went would have been somewhere between 2006 and 2008. And I believe their goose limit, Andy, was 3 birds.
Oh,
And
really?
now,
It's 8.
yep. And now I think, don't they let them guys shoot like Canada limits, man? Can't they
Yeah.
kill like 8 of them?
Yeah, it's 8, and I hadn't been there in a couple years, it's 8 Canadas, and I don't believe that the speckle belly limit counts towards your darks. So
Are you serious?
I think it's 2. So theoretically, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be because I haven't looked at anything in a couple years, but I think technically you can shoot 10 dark geese in a day.
That's too much. 8's too many. I mean, 4 or 5
Yeah.
to me is a good number.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they did something like that in Canada, like if Alberta, Saskatchewan, whatever, say, hey, guess what, guys? We're cutting y'all's black goose limit to 5.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
That's a good number to me.
Yeah. I always kind of figured that 3 to 4 birds was a really, really good number. You got 10 guys, that's 30 birds. Like if you get a couple of ducks,
it's plenty.
if you get 5 or
Sure.
6 ducks or even a dozen ducks, you're bumping 40. Who can complain about
Yeah.
shooting 40 birds?
Hey, and if they complain about it, buddy, you don't want them back.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, because there's nothing that you can do. There's nothing you can do to top that. And like the first couple of years in Oklahoma, the duck hunting was really, really good. I never field duck hunted before guiding in Oklahoma. And we had a kid from Nebraska, Blake, he still works for us. And he's like, field duck hunting is easy. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, just fucking throw out a dozen spinners. Just throw out all the spinners and turn them on. Sunny day, they see that flashing from a mile away. He's like, fuck, this shit's easy. So he was our duck guide, and he just beat the brakes off of them. And then that turned me
Hey, dude,
into
that was my first time too, Andy. I never knew you could shoot a duck without a pair of waders on, dude, until I went to Oklahoma and saw it.
Yeah. Your first couple of years in Saskatchewan, were y'all mainly field hunting ducks?
Oh yeah, it was. Let's see, I worked for Ward at Frontline from, I guess the first year I was out of A&M, so 09, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, those 4 years. And there were some years, man, it was, for us, it was more of a weather dependency deal, like on the, because typically, especially in Saskatchewan, because at that point, dude, you couldn't shoot a goose in the afternoon. And in our part of Saskatchewan, which where I was out working for Ward, you couldn't even shoot a snow goose in the afternoon. And I know that rules have changed there now, and it wasn't long after we left you could start to shoot whites in the afternoon. And now last year Saskatchewan now has the same rules that Alberta does, to where they can shoot dark geese all day. They can shoot them in the afternoon too, just like we can in Alberta. But on the warm afternoons, we would shoot water. It was pretty rare though, man. Like, we do it a couple times in September, especially like on those big moons, warm ups in the afternoon, to where those ducks, even though you can shoot 30 minutes after sunset in Canada, a lot of times, man, that was right when some of them ducks would just start flying and coming out. So if you went and set up in a field on a hot day with a big moon,
right,
dude, you might not see a duck until the last 5 or 10 minutes illegal, which, you're not gonna, I mean, you can have a little bit of a hunt, but if you go set on water,
right,
and you got something that's hopping around pothole to pothole, or maybe you're hitting their transition water, to where they're coming off that loaf, they're hitting that stage in water before they short hop out to their food source, you can have you hunt. So it was pretty rare. I'll say this though, and I hope this isn't a pattern we're in. But last year in Alberta, okay, our duck hunting was really good in September. Those were local ducks, born and raised right there. They had a pretty decent hatch, and we beat on them pretty good. We get the first cold front the first week of October, okay? And our ducks stay good, okay? But as soon as that weather stabilized on the backside of that front, so for the last 3 weeks in October, those were the hardest ducks I've ever hunted in Western Canada before. My
No
4 years
shit.
in Saskatchewan, all the years I've been to Alberta. And I think what it was we were dealt with birds that had a really bad hatch,
Mm,
and dealing with a bunch of dry ducks that didn't have any babies following them, dealing with a bunch of adult birds. You would set up, and it's not like we didn't have them, dude. We had plenty of ducks. But the deal was, man, is they would come at you. You know what it felt like? I felt like I was duck hunting in late January at home. They'd
right.
come out high. They'd come out and circle you 2 or 3 times too. We tried so much stuff. We tried all the spinners, no spinners, all the calling, no calling, all the decoys, very few. Hiding different ways, setting up on them different ways. And this ain't just one old pocket of ducks, okay? This was several. So, but what we discovered was, in Alberta, we can goose hunt in the afternoon. Well, Saskatchewan can too, but we can shoot dark geese in the afternoon. So, what we were doing a lot of times, this is the last 3 weeks, okay? We would go set up on ducks in the morning
Hmm.
on their transition water, that cattle dugout, that teeny tiny pothole that's got some buckbrush around it that you can shoot across. Them ducks would come off of that roost and they go into that transition. We could get them then. But dude, setting up on them in a field, Andy, you get your ass kicked, man. It was the damnedest thing I've ever seen. Because I mean, y'all went up there for a little bit. You've seen it. I mean, you get out in a field that's got a fair number of ducks in them or in it. You set up your spread. There's your hide. Put you some of them spinners out there, and when they come out, they're going to come in. It's not that damn hard. And until last year,
Hmm.
it was something. I'll be curious to see, because I always tell people, like when they're inquiring about a hunt with us, especially there towards the end. Okay, like the last 2 weeks in October. Typically, it's our best ducks of the year, man. We got a bunch of them. They're colored up like you shot them at home. Most of the pintails for us are gone at that time. 95% of them are gone. You'll still shoot the odd bull every now and again, but um, man, it's big groups of mallards. They work really well. Like it's good stuff, dude. We got checked on that last year. I mean, we were humbled, dude. We got our ass whooped by what usually is a layup for us, man. And until we started, doing that, like I told you, starting shooting that transition water, hunting those little potholes and things like that in the morning to shoot the ducks, and then we would go out and goose hunt in the afternoon.
Yeah, that was the tough part about this year because I told you, like, November, historically, you look at the numbers, November is usually our prime time here, and our calendar reflects that. Like, we are heavy in November, and then as the year progresses, like, we don't run as many hunts in December and January. And then when we got hit with a dose of reality this year, with the tough hunting in November, like that was, and most of the time guys have a good hunt in November and they'll rebook for January. So January kind of depends on November's success. And when we went out there and kind of got our teeth kicked in November, like it was tough. It was tough because like this is like you get guys on repeat to come later in the year, and you have a bad experience in November and that's the thing, they call you a liar or whatever. And it's just like, if you historically, this is what it is. Like November is when it's just easy hunting. They're fresh birds. They just got here. We just started hunting. And, for whatever reason, the birds just have it. They're just not cooperating right now. And then they're like, then all of a sudden, you're the worst person in the world to tell them in March, 9 months earlier, yeah, November is when you want to be here. It's like, well, you lied to me. No, I've been doing this for 30 years, and this is just what history tells us. This year was hopefully an anomaly.
It's a historical deal, dude. I mean, you can sit there, you keep notes, records, like, look what I did, last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That's like me.
Yeah.
Last year in Alberta, I mean, historically speaking now, right there at the end of October, before ice out, that's the best ducks of the year. Well, guess what? Last season in October, you can put a little asterisk next to that one because they were just tough, man. I don't know. In the end, I mean, I hate this phrase more than anybody, but in the end, hey, it's hunting.
Nope.
And some days they're going to get you. They are wild creatures, and God bless them, man. I mean, if they all just came in because you got your stupid robo duck out there, there wouldn't be any more left.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to leave some for seed. And if a wild creature dupes me every now and again, it's okay. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it at night.
Yeah. I was looking back in my pictures on the phone. December 12th, I got a video of a field, and it was about half snow geese and then the other half is dark. So here we go through about a week's period where the snow geese are coming down, and we get them here, and they stop here for about a week. It's happened for a long time. We had Dive Bomb out here hunting 6-7 years ago, and they were hunting like November 10th ish, like the second week that we were running, and we beat up the snow geese that day.
Really?
And ever since then, every year we go through about a week's period where we have a bunch of snow geese here, and that's usually like the first cold, really good like cold snap that we have. The first good push, we get a lot of snow geese for about a week, and then they filter on and go wherever they go.
I guess them are birds, I guess. I mean, anyway, who knows where they're going? I mean, I guess none of us really know, but I guess them are birds. Makes sense to me that they're going to the coast or on down to Mexico or
Maybe.
whatever.
But historically speaking, that usually happens around mid-November, because I can remember from when Dive Bomb hunted and throughout the years since then, there's always a week period in November we get a bunch of snow geese. That didn't happen this year until December 12th, which leads me to believe, just by looking at my videos and pictures, that was our first major push was December.
Y'all were just late. The birds were running late for y'all.
Yep. And then we hunted another week, and we shut down for Christmas around the 20th, 21st. So that would make sense as to why, in my memory, after Christmas in January was so good. It's just because we didn't get birds here until damn near mid-December.
It's crazy how that works, man. Like here in Arkansas, during that early deal that we have at the end of October and that first little bit of November, man, it's rare you shoot a snow goose, Andy. Hell, it's rare if you see more than about 50 or 100 of them in the field. They're just not there. And anymore, we don't really get what I call a fair number of snows. They're gonna show up. And it normally coincides with the cold front, but it's typically around Thanksgiving to the first week of December is when we're going to start to see them, like in mass, in good number.
Yeah. Well, we were just behind this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is like you said, it's a fucking wild bird. Where they go depends on how cold it is and how much snow and ice and all this other shit. And if that stuff's working against you, there ain't much you can do about it.
I mean, dude, it's like my old boss used to say, Hugh Gibson, dude. I mean, they got wings, they can pick up and fly. I mean, they're flying 3,000 something miles or whatever one way. You don't think they can just field hop or not show up when you think they're supposed to be there or something like that. They can do whatever they want. And we're out there trying to make a living off of them, dealing with the weather and all that stuff. I mean, hey, it happens.
Yeah. I remember texting you this year like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? But it was when they were quiet.
Did you ever? That's why I was asking, because I remember some of those texts that you sent me asking about our spec situation out here and how the birds were and what I was seeing versus what you were seeing were two totally different things. And
opposite.
I remember you said that you talked to somebody in earlier in this podcast. You said you talked to somebody in Saskatchewan, that was really struggling with the specs or whatever. Which is, I'm just one province to the west, and dude, we had some really good spec hunting. I mean, it was good. There were lots of chickens in the flock, and our hunting reflected that, man. And when they started to show up for us in good number now, they started to show up for us about that third week of September. And what was crazy this year too, Andy, is that normally, and that's about right for when the specs are going to show up in mass. Okay, I've shot full limits of specs in Alberta on the 1st of September. That's rare for us where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, it's somewhere between the 15th and 20th is when you're going to see them start to really roll in. But normally, dude, you can set your watch to it. I mean, they're whatever you want to call them. They're photo period migrators, early dependent, whatever you want to call them. October 15th, 2-3 days either side of that date. I don't care if it's the frozen tundra outside or sunny and 75, buddy. They're leaving. They're going.
Yeah.
And you're going to lose them in mass again until this season. We shot good numbers of specs mixed in with, that's when the lessers start to show up for us and stuff typically. Dude, we shot specs until October 25th, 26th, I think they started to run out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what, an extra 10 days roughly of them sticking around. I don't know, man. Just when you think you got them figured out, and it turns out we don't know a damn thing.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like you said, in Alberta, y'all were wearing them out. Arkansas, y'all wore them out. But, a guy called me, he was a podcast listener, and he's like, this is my first year specklebelly hunting. I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. And I asked him kind of the same questions you asked us. How big are the flocks? How high are they flying? How noisy are they when they come out? And he's like, groups of 20, and they're not saying a word. Well, and I told him exactly what you told me.
You might as well just pack up and call this one a loss and start scouting for tomorrow.
Yeah, go duck hunting. I don't know what to tell you, but that is a unkillable goose.
100%.
Yeah, there were so many mornings in November that just like this is a one-way fucking conversation. We're the only ones talking here.
Oh man, and
you got to call. You got to call. You got 8 guys in the blind with you. You know, your guide.
You got to really give them their money's worth, dude. You as the guide, you got to show that, hey, look, man, I'm putting effort in, even though before you ever put that call up to your lips that it don't matter.
Yeah,
you're not going to change anything. I tell people all the time, you can have a blind full of the best spec callers on the planet, but if they come out to you high or silent or something like that, it don't matter. You can have the best hide in the world and a spread full of stuffers. Mm-hmm. It don't matter.
Yeah,
they're going to kick your butt anyway.
Yeah,
been going on. They've been doing that forever, man. Some of the old heads that I still talk to about goose hunting, they say the same thing from that that back in the day stuff or whatever. It's been going on for a long time.
Yeah. And usually I'll do most of my A-frame hunting early in the year, and then somewhere around December I'll start laying out more. Fuck, not this year. I threw everything at them. I was laying out before Thanksgiving, and that never happens. Like, just figure out, we'll put 100 dozen of them out there. We'll figure something out. And
man, were y'all putting out spreads that big for them?
Yeah, we have before. Yeah, just those tall socks.
And is that spec decoys only, Andy, or y'all mixing it up a little bit?
We mix it up.
Too, or what?
Yeah, one of my best hunts this year, I ran mostly white. It was I got a picture on my phone. I was just trying to remember like dates and times and everything. But one of those first hunts, and it was December the 8th. It was one of those hunts. It was a low ceiling day. Still a south wind, and for whatever reason, like we were picking up the spread, and guys were like, "Hey, how close? Like, where are we at?" And like some of the snows, we were out picking up the spread, and like snows were landing in it as we're walking around in the decoys. Specs were doing the same thing. Like they were just goofy that day for whatever reason. And I thought I had it figured out. You know what I mean? I ran mostly snow. Socks and just a handful, maybe I think it was like 5 dozen specklebelly silhouettes, and I just kind of made like little family groups. I thought I had it all fucking figured out. This is the way you kill specklebellies now, boys. Follow me for the way. And then it worked for about 3 days, and we were back to the drawing board on how to kill specklebellies. But I tell you what, when I walked into the kitchen that morning, like it was like a 30-minute hunt. It was just over with soon.
Well, you strutting around like Tom Turkey or something like that? Or
Everybody parted as I walked into the kitchen. Like they were in awe of me that I killed this unkillable goose. We've been getting our ass kicked for 6 weeks. How did you do it, Sensei? So I've got these. I had like a campfire going, and I had like everybody sitting around me, crisscross applesauce, and they were just listening to the old wise man. And then,
oh, that's hilarious! So you gave them all your trade secrets, and then your trade secrets
I hold nothing
anymore.
I hold nothing back anymore. I am the wealth of knowledge. My ego is healthy. I'm not keeping any secrets for myself. So I was, come here, young grasshopper, and I will show you the way. And that lasted for about 3 days, and then it was right back to square one.
Yeah.
That's the fun thing about where I'm at, though. Like, I'm 37, gonna be 38 this year, and I really enjoy like teaching young guides because there's nuances, right? Like you gotta pick up on little things if you're gonna be very good at this, and that's what I enjoy where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Details in this deal, in this little niche that we're in right here, details are the biggest thing. And the people that don't pay attention to the details are the ones that they might get them every now and again, sure, but they're going to struggle a lot more. I mean, being detail oriented, not being afraid to change something up, being different from the next guy over. There's a bunch of stuff, and I don't want to give away too much stuff, just the wrong people might be listening, but there's a lot to this game, and kind of like along the lines of what you're talking about, somebody that I see potential in, or like a younger fella coming up or something, man, I don't have any issue giving them, I guess, secrets, even though, let's be honest, there's really nothing secret anymore in today's world, but just helping them out and giving them just that little extra push, or maybe mentioning things to them, or suggesting things to them, or just, showing them what you do when something they're doing might not work or whatever. But yeah, with the right guys, I don't have any issue with that.
Yeah. I mean, there's an art to being a guide. You know what I mean? And it's just like the way you present yourself, and like you said, you gotta believe your ideas. But even if you don't believe, you gotta project to your clients that this is the way. And yeah, we might have hunted in A-frames for the past 5 years that you've been here, but tomorrow we're setting a shitload of socks and we're gonna lay in the socks, or vice versa, whatever it is. But like, this is the way, and you gotta be able to communicate with your guys. That's something that I see a lot of young guys, and I'm not going to be the old back in my day guy, but young people struggle with communication, especially with older men. You know what I mean? We're in the texting age and everything, and the art of the conversation is kind of lost. So whenever, it's always funny here, we do dinner, and the guides, whoever your guide is, the next morning will go out to your table at dinner, introduce themselves, give you a rough game
break
plan.
The ice.
Yeah, give you a rough game plan. This is wake up, this is roll out, blah, blah, blah. The young guys that we have today, like they will hide in the back until the very last minute to go out to talk to the guys. And I get mine over with just as soon as we do our guide meeting. I'm out there and I'm talking to guys because I want to get that part over with. I want to introduce myself and just get everything kicked off the right way.
Yeah, there's an art to having a conversation, and unfortunately, most of the younger fellows that are starting to come through this deal, I see it too, man. They lack in that department, and you have to find common ground. And one of the things that I see the new guys struggle with is like that are in their first or second year, they're giving this a shot just to see, is that, man, you have to remember that you are not back home fun hunt with some of your buddies. Okay, you are taking paid guests that have taken the time away from work, from their family, have had this planned out for months, and you are taking them, I mean, they're there on vacation, and you're taking them out to show them a good time.
Yep.
And a good time doesn't just mean having a big pile of dead stuff at the end of the hunt, you know. A good time can mean, you know, having conversation. I'm not saying you have to pull out a joke book and drop a bunch of one-liners on these dudes, but having a conversation, finding common ground, maybe teaching those fellas something, even if it's one thing, dude, just teaching them something, showing them something that they can take away from it. In the end, the best people in this deal, I believe, are the guys that give their guests the best experience.
Right.
From when it starts, from when them guys show up at the lodge or at camp or pull up to the field that you dropped them a pin on the night before, or however you do it, to when those guys pull away. And that doesn't always mean trigger time, because in the end, I don't care if you shot 100 birds that day, the magical number that everybody likes to talk about. Your time on the gun, that trigger time, is such a small fraction of everything else that's going on. And yeah, man, you gotta give those guys that. You gotta give them your undivided attention. Put the damn phone in your pocket for just a second.
Yep.
And just be with them. Be a part of their group, you know, and just, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the hard part a lot of times, because like I've always felt like I'm, you know, the guide. You got a group of guys that know each other. They know everything about each other. So you're almost the outsider. So but you're also, you can be the most interesting guy there because you're hunting 7 days a week. And that's what those guys want to hear about. So like you can be the most interesting guy there and just talk about what you've done the past week, right? Like you said, you don't have to have a joke book. You can talk about the asshole that, you know, quick shot, or, you know, the dog that was terrible, or this great hunt, or a miraculous shot, or whatever. And, you know, you are the outsider, but like every one of them wants to hear a little bit about you. You know what I mean? And like you've just got a great story to tell. You can just talk about your last week of hunting. And
yeah, you're the exception to the rule, dude. You're not that guy with that 9-to-5 job, punching the clock, working for the man or something like that. So these dudes find you interesting, and yeah, our occupation is that, man. This isn't a factory job every single day. I don't care if you think you got the best laid out plan there's ever been. It ain't ever going to go exactly the way that you thought it was going to go. This is not a factory job. You don't know every single day that you go to work. Now you wake up, you get in your truck, you go scout, you go take some guest hunting. Every single day is different. The people you have in the blind are different. The weather's different. The birds are acting different. I mean, something is going to go differently than how you had it planned out. And people find, yeah, man, just talking about your day to day, like you said, can be a big thing for those fellas.
I was on my young guides this year about being presentable and like having a clean trailer, because from the moment you open those trailer doors, you're getting judged, right? And if your trailer looks like a bag of shit and you got stuff strung everywhere and you don't know where your spinners are, or you don't know where you put that, like these are all little check marks that guys look for when they're on a guided hunt. Is he professional? Was he on time? Did he answer questions? And if the first time you open that, and I'm not talking about like if you got a trailer full of full bodies, because let's face it, you open the door and shit's gonna come pouring out. But like if you're just running silhouettes and socks and you've got everything kind of neatly organized, well, at least you presented yourself as professional. You know what I mean? Do your clothes fit? You know, a lot of times you see guys and they look like a big bag of shit with clothes that are too floppy or whatever. And I mean, just look professional.
Too small, too big, been washed 500 times.
Yeah,
dude got holes all through it, tobacco stains down their shirt. No, I know what you're talking about.
When the word waterfowl guide is uttered, you need to look the part to your clients. Whatever, if you hear waterfowl guide and the first image that pops into your head, like that's who you should look like. You should look the part. And I mean, it can be whatever. Like it can be brand new shin gear shit, whatever it is, Sitka. It doesn't matter. Just have shit, keep up with your shit. And like you said, don't have a shirt or a hoodie that's got tobacco stains running all down the front of it, and you look like a big bag of shit out there. Oh, I can't remember where I put my calls.
One of my biggest pet peeves as an outfitter with either, I'll get mad at myself if I do, which I try like hell never to do this, which, let's face it, we all have our slip ups during the season, or if one of my guys do it, but I call it opening day syndrome.
Yes.
You know how it goes, man. Like on opening day, I don't care, dude. You've had 10 months to get ready for this deal.
Yeah, you forgot something.
You forgot your shells, your damn dog whistle, your shotgun. You didn't get a bottle of water. You forgot something.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until you get out there in the field. And, so avoid that is a big deal. Another thing too, man, like during the course of a hunt, like if something breaks, if something needs to be replaced or whatever, it's funny, dude. You throw that something back in the truck or in the trailer or what have you, and guess what, dude? You forget about it until the hunt the next day. It's funny how that works out. I tell my guys all the time that your job don't end just because the hunt's over.
Right.
Like there's always something to be done that you can do, and just make sure that you're prepared, that you at least look the part, okay? Whenever you're out there in the field, and being organized, having your stuff together is a big part of that.
I've got a flag that's the same way. It's that Magic Mike flag. So it's like on a pulley, but that motherfucker, they don't make a flag that will last more than 3 weeks. Rods are breaking, and I'm the same way. I'll have that thing, and fucking flag will break, and then like you said,
got tied in all kind of knots and use duct tape,
and I'll go to, and it'll break, and I'll be like, oh, I'll put it in the memory bank. I need to get another flag for this for tomorrow, and I'll get out there tomorrow, and it's like motherfucker. So here I am with electrical tape, rigging this son of a bitch back up.
Trying to do it, grabbing some socks, waving them around.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, this son of a bitch. So that's always my big thing is that fucking flag. There's
Magic Mike, Andy, is that now that's a T flag that you got on a cord that you can run back to your hide or something like that?
Yeah. So like whenever we're hunting edges and stuff like that, you still got a flag out there. They make electric flag or goose flappers and everything. I use
them every day.
Anytime, I'm always afraid that I'm going to need it and the battery's going to go out or something's going to malfunction. So with this thing, like as long as I got an arm that can pull it, and if the son of a bitch is working, it'll work. But
Andy, you can avoid that, dude. Just have you an extra battery in your an extra remote in your blind bag, and make sure your battery's charged every night, and then you won't have to worry about it. Man.
I get worried. I get worried about. I get spun up like Johnny did about little things.
Johnny did. I miss that guy every day, man. It's crazy. June. We're in June now, but June 21st, dude. It'll be 5 years, man.
Crazy. Crazy how long. I mean, it seems like yesterday.
Dude, I know all about it. It's wild, man.
He was a special guy, but he would get worked up over the smallest little detail.
Yeah, dude, it was that little spoonful of Italian he had in him, man. He had a fuse on him that was so short. And, that classic Napoleon syndrome too, because he was. What was he? 5'6" on a good day.
On a good day, he was wearing his good boots.
So red faced and hot about something so fast, dude. Oh man, I've seen Johnny mad I don't know how many times.
And he always pointed with like 2 fingers. This motherfucker, and he just get to pointing, and we get to pointing those 2 fingers, and you knew that he was hot to trot about something. Good dude, though.
Dude, I haven't known many sailors in my life, but if they cuss more than John Miller used to back in the day, man, God bless them.
Love that dog Lexi too, boy. That was the apple of his eye.
Yes,
she was a good dog too, though. She rolled around in a big pile of human shit out here. I probably told you the story, but they were out hunting, and Lexi was damn near white, and she was a yellow lab, and they're tearing down the spread or whatever, and Lexi comes back, and Johnny's like, what the fuck have you got into? And oh fuck, that's human shit. And there's a little bit of toilet paper on her. And he's like, what happened? And then there's just this guy off by himself, kinda. and you just see him just slink his head down, and he raises his hand like he's a third grader. You know, teacher's about to scold him, and he's like, "I am so sorry. That is my shit." So Lexi got to ride back to town in the back of the truck, and then they took her to the car wash and hosed her off.
God, man.
Johnny,
I've actually heard Johnny tell. I remember Johnny telling me that story, man, about that.
It was a day. It was a day.
Some things dogs can't pass up, dude, and fresh shit is one of those.
No, but I try to get my 10-week-old his flea and tick medication, and he spits it out the whole time. It's like, dude, you'll go fucking dig up cat shit or whatever, whatever nasty thing you're into, but I give you this pill, and you roll it around in your mouth and spit it out. And he's wormy, so I'm having to give him medicine for the worms, and he eats all around that shit. So
ain't it funny, dude, how they can I mean, dude, you might just have to shove it down his old throat and pick his head up, massage him his throat a little bit to force him to swallow that stuff just to get it down. I had a dog like that was the same way, man. You could break a pill or something into a million pieces. You could roll it up in some prime ribeye, and I don't think that dog would have ate it.
they're smart little bastards. So you're going up to Minnesota here, pretty soon, right? You're gonna spend the summer up there?
Man. Yeah, going to Minnesota. Gonna be where we're at up there. My dog. I got 2 dogs. I got one, but where we're heading, my dog's with the Rorms up there, and they're in Little Fork, Minnesota. Man, it is a hop, skip, and a jump from Ontario. I think from the gate of their place. What is that? The Rainy River, I guess. That's just to the north there, and then on the other side of that, that's Ontario. It can't be 2 miles from their property.
Oh, nice. So what are you going to do up there? Just working with your dogs or what?
Train with them, and then we'll run some trials on the weekends. We're running all age stuff now. We've got a couple jams this spring, one in an amateur and another one in an open outside of Omaha there in Nebraska, back in late April, early May, whenever that was. And yeah, man, and I'm enjoying it, dude. It's a long process, a difficult one, and that sport is very humbling in itself. But man, I enjoy it every step of the way. I do.
Good, very good. Well, listen, we're glad that we've gone over an hour and a half now. I'll let you go, but glad we got to catch up with you before you get busy with all that, and then you'll be going up into north of the border here.
Back to work,
sooner
buddy,
than you think.
Year.
Sooner than you think. Well, it's always good chatting with you, Travis, and good luck. Have fun up in Minnesota, and have a great fall.
Andy, I appreciate y'all, man. Don't be a stranger, okay?
No, sir. Like I said, I got this new puppy, so I'm going to. I'll probably be texting you about some tricks and stuff.
Okay, buddy.
All right.
See you, man.
See you, man. Bye.
Later.
All right, everybody, that's Travis Schneider, Northern Prairie Outfitters up in Canada. If you're looking for a Canada adventure, give him a call. He's a good dude. Always enjoy talking to him. Jeff had to go catch a flight to Michigan. He's going to be on the Boss podcast, and he'll also be on with Cedar Run, Corey Lucas. He's doing their podcast while he's up there. I'll be in Costa Rica. Love you. Bye. Watch for deer. Have a great week. See ya. And check out all of our good sponsors. Check out Dirty Duck Coffee. If your coffee sucks, it's not the duck. Shin Gear, Looking Glass Podcast, Lucky Duck, Ducks Unlimited, Dive Bomb Industries, Pacific Calls. Use our promo code BHP25. Boss Shot Shells, Mossberg, Stanfield Outfitters, Mitchell Chevrolet, and Mallard Bay.